Hi guys, here's another tutorial video. And this time we're going to be showing how we can map some evacuation routes using the existing road network layer and an imported flood model. All of this data was generated from open source mapping tools. So firstly, just a refresher on how this road network was brought in. I would advise to just take another look at the tutorial video I posted using the hot export tool. And the end result here was that we were able to extract the road network from OSM directly from this web interface and then import it as a shapefile into QGIS. And that's where we are here. So first things first, we're just going to start overlay. So here you see we're just blank canvas. Our road network for St. Kitts here, we have in red primary network, in gray all of the secondary roads. So that's just some basic visualization. So we're first going to double click here on the browser panel to now add, and drag it to the bottom. You just add the OSM map. So this is what you've seen when you're editing on your ID editor. This looks all familiar. And I see we just have the center lines of the roads as an editable shape file here on our local project. We can also look at satellite imagery. So again, double click, zoom out a bit. And here you see we have the aerial satellite imagery from Esri. So we also have two perspectives, yeah. So a vector and then this raster satellite image. So these are just base layers so we can toggle back and forth, take a look, different perspectives, different visuals, basically as a backdrop to what the work we're going to be doing. So the second layer we're going to need, as I said, we're doing evacuation routes. So we need to know, in this case, we're going to simulate like a flash flood incident on the island. So I'm going to navigate to my directory. And I have some flash flood simulation that we generated beforehand. So here you see it's just dragged and dropped. So I'll go back here. So it's just the TIFF file, that's the extension. This will be provided to you in the training. You take it and you drag it and drop. And here you see we have some numbers. These are like the flood depth in meters. Now this event here, we're going to first symbolize it. So double click on here, go to symbology, and we need it as a flood. So let's get it in blue. So I already made a specific color ramp for this. So if you go in symbology, style, we're going to load a style from one I've created already. Go to browse. And once again, these layer files will be provided to you in the training. Just double click on here, load style, hit apply, okay. So here you see the darker blue areas, obviously higher flood depths, lighter blue, uh, lower values. But essentially you can, just from satellite imagery, you see we have these main, these rivers, these gullies flooding into here. We can look up at Sandy Point. The coast is inundated as well. So in essence, we have these layers. So we can see that the road network is already inundated here, and we need to simulate or plan an evacuation route. We have the flood layer here as a raster, and we have the road network as a vector line. So we can now go a step further and do some basic geoprocessing. So let's first pull up the processing toolbox, which is not here yet. So we're going to go to View, then I go to, Panels, Processing Toolbox. And on the search bar, you see here there's a list of all the various tools from conversions to, it's pretty much infinite with QGIS. So you can go and search for shortest path. And if you look at the name, you see it has a network, it's under the network analysis group. So in GIS, typically you have these network analyses, and these can be very complex, very basic, multiple criteria. But in our instance, we're just going to go from point A in a flood-prone zone to, let's say, point B, which is an open field, or once we have our emergency shelters mapped, we can navigate to there as well. So I'm going to double click on the shortest path tool. And here I'm brought up with a series of parameters. You see the ones that are optional, have the word optional in it. The ones that are required don't have that brackets. So the first thing is the vector layer representing the network. And luckily, we've already brought this in, and it fills in by default, as it's the only vector layer we have. So this is the output from the OSM export. The path type to calculate, we're going to calculate the shortest. You can also do the fastest, but let's just do shortest as default. And then we need to define a start point and an end point. Now the start point, you're going to click these three dots here. And then you see we go back to the map view. And then the map view, it's now telling us, okay, you have this cursor. Where do you want to start? So I can turn off this flood layer because it kind of gets in the way. Or I'm going to just double click transparency. I'm just going to make it transparent so I can see a bit more. So in this instance, let's go smack in the middle here. Oops, not too far in. So let's just do maybe from this. Yeah, this is maybe it's a critical building there. I just left clicked and I got this X placed on there. That's my start point. So I need to plan my evacuation route out of this flood prone area somewhere safe. So once again, endpoint. Click on these three dots. And I'm going to, oops, there we go. We're going to navigate and go somewhere out to this, let's say this field out here. So we click on there. So these geographic coordinates are now added as a parameter. And the rest of the fields, we're just going to leave default for now. So there's no need to go into this. We can really get down to the nitty gritty with these, but for purposes of this basic training, we're just going to generate the shortest path using these parameters. Then you're going to click run. Get this quick progress bar telling us success. Very good, very good. And then we're going to turn off the road layer. And then we see it's here. It's not really symbolized nicely yet. So we're going to double click on this just so it can pop out so we can see it. I'm going to change the symbol, make this a bit bigger. Let's give it a bright red. There, so it's very bold. Okay, so there we have the shortest path. We can right click. We're going to rename. There we go. So let's call this evac route. Let's call it 1. And here you see it sort of defines where we're going to take on that shortest path to get to this safe zone. So out of the flood area. So in this event here, we have one simulation going from this direction and heading out westwards. So similarly, we can run different scenarios. Maybe we know where the shelters is here or an open field over here. So we can then do another one, just repeat. And we're going to just, build up the best case and of course combine it with the local knowledge of which buildings are inundated or which areas are like more flood prone. And from there, we'll have to then decide, okay, what is the most optimal route or realistic route based on the calculation we do here, but also maybe we need to modify it here if we know a bit more. And then the last part would be we go out in the field and then we're going to pretty much walk these streets in the segments and we're going to grab the information about these road networks. Like, is it actually a viable route to take? And the only way to do this, we can do as much as we can remotely or from a satellite image or aerial image, but nothing beats field work. You go out there in the field, you walk this line, you record whether it's well lit, is the drainage, what are the drainage features, is it paved, what's the width of the road, all these attributes you're going to add to this file. And then we're going to combine it, embed it. So this evacuation route has information for the decision makers to decide whether or not this will be implemented or whether signage will be put up to help people understand what is the evacuation route in the case of a flooding disaster. And one note here is if you have another model, let's say maybe you can simulate different rainfall models, maybe you have a tsunami model, same concept applies. So you're going to go from the vulnerable zone and then make your way out to the safe and really leveraging that road network, your hazard model. And then your final step is to go out in the field and verify this route, get as much information or attributes, and then you're good to go. Okay, so I hope this video helps. Feel free to message or let the other trainers know if you have any questions. We'll do our best to help and guide along. Thank you.